Imagine living with a 26-year-old brother who doesn't work, doesn't study, ignores his sick mother, treats me like garbage, and spends his entire life glued to the internet. One day, when he slammed the door in my face, I decided to slam something bigger, his entire online world. What I didn't know is that pulling the plug would unravel his fake girlfriend, his lies, and his entire lazy empire. And finally give me the peace I deserved. My name is Olia, I'm 24, and I've spent most of my adult life living in a house that feels less like a home and more like a one-sided daycare for my older brother. He's 26, but you'd never know it by the way he acts. Most days, I feel like I'm the only adult under this roof, aside from my mom, who, bless her, is barely holding things together. Now before I get too deep into the revenge part, let me paint you a picture of what life has been like with my dear brother. He doesn't work. He doesn't go to school full-time either, though if you asked him, he'd swear he's been pursuing his bachelor's degree for years. Do you know how long he's been pursuing that? Almost a decade. A 4-year program has somehow turned into his personal marathon of excuses. And every time someone questions him about it, he twists his words into some kind of psychobabble. Acting like he's the smartest guy in the room. He'll say things like, well, technically, education is subjective, and my learning pace is deeper and more thoughtful than the standardized timeline. Translation? He's lazy, and yet, despite contributing absolutely nothing to this house, no rent, no bills, not even small chores, he carries himself like a superior being. He struts around with this condescending tone, dismissing me and our mother as if we're beneath him. I wish I could say this was just an occasional bad mood, but no. This is his default personality. If there's one thing that defines my brother, it's the internet. I pay for the Wi-Fi in our house, but you'd think it was his personal lifeline to existence. Every waking moment of his life revolves around being connected. He doesn't wake up early. He doesn't cook, clean, or even bother to spend time with family. But oh, he will stay glued to his computer screen, headphones on, barking into his mic at online friends, or sometimes laughing in that fake, over-exaggerated way that makes you want to slam the door just to shut it out. He doesn't just use the internet, he lives inside it. Online gaming, endless YouTube spirals, late-night Discord calls. He even has an online girlfriend he met in some obscure forum. She lives states away, and he talks about her like she's the only person who understands him. Funny thing is, he treats her with more patience and kindness than he's ever shown me or our mom. Imagine watching your brother tell his girlfriend, "You're so important to me, I'll always be there for you," but then 5 minutes later, when mom asks him to take the trash out, he pretends he didn't hear. Our mom is a single parent. She's exhausted, working long shifts, and she doesn't deserve the stress of dealing with a grown man who refuses to grow up. She's been telling him for years to step up, to get a job, to at least help around the house. But he always has excuses. I need to focus on my studies. Or, the job market is so unstable right now. Or my personal favorite, I can't work because I'm trying to manage my mental health. Don't get me wrong, I understand mental health is real and important. But in his case, it's nothing but a shield he hides behind to avoid responsibility. Meanwhile, mom is burning out. She'll come home tired and find dishes piled up, laundry undone, and him locked in his room with his precious Wi-Fi. Me versus him. I try to help mom as much as I can. I work part-time, I pay for the internet, ironically the very thing that fuels his addiction, and I make sure bills are paid on time. But the disrespect I get in return from him is unreal. If I try to talk to him, half the time he ignores me. If I knock on his door, he won't answer. And when he does speak, it's in that arrogant, dismissive tone. Like he's some professor lecturing a student. He doesn't just avoid family dinners, he'll make up some dramatic excuse. Like, I can't eat right now, I'm in a deep conversation about philosophy. Which, by the way, usually means he's in a group chat ranting about something he read online 5 minutes ago. I think the thing that really got under my skin was how he had absolutely no shame in treating us like background noise. There have been times when mom's been calling him to help carry groceries, and he'll sit there pretending he can't hear. She'll be juggling heavy bags, her face red, and he's sitting in his room laughing at some video. When I call him out, he'll snap back with some ridiculous excuse like, well, if she needed help that badly, she should have asked earlier. No accountability. No guilt. Just arrogance. The tension kept building, and for a long time, I kept telling myself to just ignore him, to not sink to his level. But when you live under the same roof as someone like this, it gets harder and harder to let things slide. The moment everything changed was small but powerful. One evening, I was trying to talk to him about something simple, literally just asking if he could pick up his laundry because mom was too tired. He looked right at me, didn't say a word, and closed his bedroom door in my face. That was it. That was the exact moment I snapped. It wasn't just about the laundry. It wasn't just about one door being shut. It was about years of being dismissed, ignored, and treated like nothing in my own house. I stood there, staring at the door, feeling my blood boil. And then I remembered, I was the one paying for the Wi-Fi, and suddenly, I knew exactly what to do. After the door slam, something inside me shifted. It wasn't just the sound of wood closing in my face, it was years of pent-up anger compacted into one sharp, echoing thud. That door didn't just separate his room from the rest of the house. It was a metaphor for the way he'd separated himself from reality. From family, from basic decency, and yet, as much as I wanted to storm in and scream at him, I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath, walked back to my room, and opened the Wi-Fi control app on my phone. One swipe. One tap. Disconnected. I swear. I felt more satisfaction in that single moment than I had in years, but I had no idea how far this tiny act of revenge would spiral. His immediate meltdown. It didn't even take a full minute. From down the hall, I heard his muffled voice. What the? No. No, 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 not now. At first, it was just confusion. But soon it turned into full-blown panic. He stomped out of his room, hair messy, headset around his neck like a crown of shame. He looked straight at me. Olia. What the hell did you do? I leaned back in my chair, calm as a saint, and said, I don't know what you mean. Don't play dumb. My internet just dropped. Did you turn off the Wi-Fi? I pay for it, I said sweetly, so technically it's mine to do whatever I want with. If you want it back, maybe try talking to people with a little respect. He froze, like his brain had to buffer the insult before responding. His face turned red, his lips curled, and for the first time, he had nothing clever to say. He just stormed past me and went to Mom. Mom. Olia cut the Wi-Fi. She's sabotaging me. My mother, poor thing, was in the kitchen reheating leftovers. She looked at him, then at me, and sighed like she'd just aged 5 years in 5 seconds. I can't deal with this, she muttered, rubbing her temples. Why can't you two just get along? You're driving me insane. He immediately jumped into his dramatic act. You don't understand, Mom. I was in the middle of something important. She's ruining my life. Important? Please. He was either gaming or whispering sweet nothings into his mic for his online girlfriend, the same girl he'd been obsessing over for months now. Let me tell you about this mysterious girlfriend. He met her online almost a year ago in some obscure forum for deep thinkers. Her name was Lila, at least, that's what she told him. Supposedly, she was his soulmate, his intellectual equal, the only one who truly understood his mind. He'd spend hours with her, talking late into the night. I could hear him through the walls, giggling like a teenager, whispering like some tragic lover in a bad romance movie. To him, she was everything. To me, she was just another excuse for him to neglect his real responsibilities, but here's the kicker, he actually believed this was a serious relationship. He would brag to me, Lila gets me in ways you and Mom never could. She sees the real me. No, she saw the version of him that had stable Wi-Fi and nothing better to do. After I cut his connection, his first panic wasn't about his games. It was about her. He barged back into his room, tried to reconnect, failed, and then came stomping back. Olia. You don't get it. I was talking to Lila. She's gonna think I ghosted her. I raised an eyebrow. So what? If she's really your soulmate, she'll understand you live with other people who expect basic respect. Don't you dare talk about her like that. He snapped, pointing a finger at me like I'd insulted royalty. I almost laughed. Here was my unemployed, leeching, arrogant brother, ready to go to war over a woman he'd never even met in person. That night, Mom finally had a meltdown. She yelled at both of us, her voice cracking. I swear, if I wasn't here, you two would murder each other. I can't take this anymore. One of you needs to grow up. I stayed quiet. He, of course, doubled down. You always take her side. You don't even listen to me. This family doesn't appreciate me. Appreciate him? For what? For existing? Over the next few days, I decided to keep his Wi-Fi disconnected at random times. Sometimes I'd give him an hour. Sometimes I'd let him suffer all day. Watching him spiral was like watching an addict go through withdrawal. He couldn't focus. He paced the house, muttering under his breath. He tried to sweet-talk me, then threatened me, then sulked, but the most telling part? His precious girlfriend started getting upset. I overheard him on the phone once, trying to explain, no, Lila, I swear, it's not me ignoring you. My sister, she's crazy. She keeps shutting off the Wi-Fi. I almost burst out laughing from the other room. He was so desperate to keep her happy, but without reliable internet, cracks started showing. Mom's soft spot. I'll admit, Mom tried to defend him at first. She begged me to stop messing with him. Olia, please. You know how fragile he is. You don't want to push him over the edge. But I held my ground. Mom, he's 26. Not 16. He's not fragile, he's manipulative. And the more you enable him, the worse he gets. She didn't want to hear it, but deep down, I think she knew I was right. The final straw came one night when he lost connection during a call with Lila. I heard him yelling through the wall, "Babe? Babe, are you there? No. Don't hang up, don't." Silence. Then a loud thud as he threw something against the wall. The next morning, I saw him at the kitchen table, pale and shaking, clutching his phone. His voice cracked as he told Mom, "She thinks I don't care about her anymore. She says I'm unreliable. She's threatening to break up with me." Mom gasped like the world was ending. Meanwhile, I felt a slow, delicious smile spread across my face, because for the first time ever, he was facing consequences that didn't come from me or Mom. They came from the one person he'd built his whole fantasy world around. The thing about my brother is, he doesn't just ignore problems, he inflates them. Every inconvenience becomes a tragedy, every minor conflict turns into him playing the victim. And after the whole "Lila might leave me" meltdown, he became unbearable. He started sulking around the house like a ghost, sighing dramatically at every opportunity, making sure Mom noticed. "I just don't know why nobody supports me," he'd moan, as if being 26 and jobless was something that deserved applause. Meanwhile, I kept my Wi-Fi kill switch ready. One swipe on my phone, and he'd spiral. I wasn't just cutting off his connection, I was cutting into his ego. Into the only world where he felt important. But the real breaking point came one night when the door slam finally pushed me to FAR. It was a Tuesday evening. Mom had worked a double shift, and I was trying to get some help with the laundry so she wouldn't collapse from exhaustion. I knocked on his door. "Hey, can you please take your clothes out of the dryer so I can put Mom's stuff in?" No response. I knocked again, louder. "Hello? Can you hear me?" Still nothing. Finally, I opened the door a crack and said, "Seriously, can you grab your laundry?" "Mom's tired." Slam. The door hit so hard in my face that I stumbled back. For a split second, I thought my nose was broken. I just stood there in the hallway, staring at the wood grain, listening to him mumble something smug on the other side. That was it. That was the exact moment years of frustration, disrespect, and arrogance boiled over. I whispered to myself, "You want to play games? Fine. Let's play." Cutting the cord, he walked calmly to my room, opened the app, and didn't just disconnect him this time. No. I blocked every single one of his devices. His laptop? Gone. His gaming console? Gone. His phone? Gone. Complete digital exile. 10 seconds later, the storm began. "What the hell?" he screamed from his room. "Olia. Olia. Give it back. Don't you dare." He stomped into the living room, face red, fists clenched. "Turn it back on right now." I crossed my arms. "Or what?" He blinked, stunned that I wasn't intimidated. Or I'll tell Mom." I almost laughed. "Go ahead. Tell her. But maybe also tell her how you slammed the door in my face while she was breaking her back working all day. Maybe tell her how you never help with anything around here. Oh, and don't forget to mention how I'm the one paying for your precious Wi-Fi." For once, he had no comeback. Just sputtering rage. Mom walks in. Of course, timing is everything. Mom walked in right as he was yelling at me. "What's going on now?" she demanded, dropping her purse on the counter. He pointed at me like a tattletale. "She cut the Wi-Fi. She's torturing me, Mom. I can't live like this." Mom looked at me, exhausted. "Olia, why? You're driving me crazy with this." I stayed calm. Because he slammed the door in my face when I was asking him to help with laundry. Because he hasn't lifted a finger in months. Because he treats us both like garbage. And because, in case anyone forgot, I'm the one footing the bill for the very thing he's addicted to. For a second, Mom just stared at me. Then she rubbed her forehead like she had a migraine. I just can't with you too." But she didn't scold me. She didn't order me to turn the Wi-Fi back on. And that silence was all the validation I needed. The real fireworks started later that night. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of him pacing the hallway on his phone. His voice was desperate. "Babe, please, you don't understand. My sister's insane. She's cutting off the Wi-Fi on purpose." "No, I swear I'm not ignoring you. I love you. You're my everything." I pressed my ear against the wall, grinning in the dark. Then came the dagger. "What do you mean you're tired of this?" No, don't say that. Don't leave me. You're the only one I have." Silence. Then a strangled sob. I knew, right then, that Lila was pulling away. And it was beautiful. His last stand the next day, he tried to stage a pathetic power play. He stomped into the kitchen while I was making coffee and declared, "If you don't turn the Wi-Fi back on, I'm leaving this house." I didn't even look up from my mug. "Okay." He froze. "What do you mean, okay?" "I mean do it. Leave. You're 26, you should have moved out years ago. Maybe Lila can take care of you." His face twisted. "You're gonna regret this." But the truth? I'd never felt more at peace. Packing his bags that evening, he actually did it. He stomped around the house, shoving clothes into a duffel bag, slamming drawers like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Mom cried, begging him not to go. Please, can't we just fix this? We're family. But he was too busy wallowing in his own martyrdom. You've all made it clear you don't respect me. At least Aunt Linda appreciates me. Ah yes, Aunt Linda. The eternal enabler. She'd been defending his laziness since we were kids. Of course she'd take him in. He stormed out the door with his bag slung over his shoulder, pausing only to glare at me. You'll regret this when I'm gone. I raised my coffee cup in a mock salute. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And just like that, the house was quiet for the first time in years. At first, it was glorious. No shouting, no door slamming, no arrogant lectures about philosophy. Mom and I actually ate dinner together without someone sulking in their room, but the real gift came a week later. When whispers about his precious girlfriend started reaching us, because apparently, without steady Wi-Fi and the safety of his room, their relationship had collapsed. She stopped answering his calls. She blocked him on Discord. Rumor had it, she was already flirting with someone else in their online group, and my brother? He was left heartbroken, penniless, and living on Aunt Linda's couch. My brother slammed that door for the last time and walked out with his duffel bag. I thought I'd feel guilty. That's what Mom predicted, anyway. She sniffled as the car pulled away and said, "You'll regret pushing him this far, Olia." But I didn't regret it. Not for a second. For the first time in years, the house actually breathed. No constant stomping, no fake intellectual lectures, no muffled shouting through the walls as he raged at online friends. Just peace. But little did I know, his real karma was only just beginning. Aunt Linda the enabler. My brother went straight to Aunt Linda's. She'd always been his safety net. The one relative who treated him like a misunderstood genius instead of the freeloading manchild he was. Within hours of leaving our place, he was texting Mom, "Linda gets it. She actually listens to me. Maybe I'll stay here permanently." Mom cried again, of course. She always did. She pictured him starving in the streets, when in reality, he was sprawled on Linda's couch, living off her snacks and sympathy. But what he didn't realize is that even Linda had her limits. I knew her patience wouldn't last forever, especially once she saw how much electricity he used. How many hours he spent glued to her Wi-Fi, and how little he contributed in return. The real fun started about 3 days after he left. I overheard Mom on the phone with him, her face pinched with worry. "What do you mean she isn't answering you?" Mom whispered. "I thought Lila was the one." I perked up immediately. After the call, Mom relayed it to me like some Greek tragedy. Apparently, Lila is upset because he hasn't been online consistently. She thinks he's losing interest in her. I couldn't help but laugh. Or maybe she's just realizing he's a broke 26-year-old with no job and no future. Mom shot me a look. "Don't be cruel." But inside, I knew karma was finally cashing its check downhill fast by the end of the week. The texts he sent Mom turned from smug to desperate. She thinks I'm ghosting her. She says I can't even keep a stable connection. How am I supposed to take care of her someday? What if she leaves me? I can't survive without her. I read them over Mom's shoulder and nearly choked on my tea. Take care of her? This was a guy who couldn't even take the trash out for his own mother. A few days later, I got a DM from one of his old gaming friends on Instagram. Apparently, word had spread in their online circle. Lila wasn't who she said she was. She wasn't some lonely intellectual soulmate waiting for him across the country. She was talking to at least 3 other guys in the same group, and the cherry on top? She'd been stringing him along with promises of someday visiting, while simultaneously asking him for small amounts of money, help with bills, plane ticket savings, the usual online scammer lines. Of course, my brother had sent what little he had. Birthday money from relatives, tiny scraps of savings, all funneled to her in hopes of keeping her affection. I almost felt bad. Almost. The night it all collapsed, Mom got another phone call. I could hear my brother's voice crackling through the speaker, half sobbing, half screaming. "She left me, Mom. She blocked me on everything. After everything I did for her, she just vanished." Mom looked heartbroken. I, on the other hand, had to bite my lip to keep from smiling. I whispered under my breath, "Welcome to reality. Little brother." Aunt Linda gets tired. As if the breakup wasn't enough. Aunt Linda's patience finally ran out. Within 2 weeks of hosting him, she was calling Mom daily. He eats constantly. He stays up all night yelling into his headset. He leaves his laundry everywhere. Olia was right, he doesn't lift a finger. I can't keep doing this. Hearing that was like music to my ears. For years, Linda had been his biggest defender. And now? She was on my side. Mom tried to smooth things over, but Linda had made up her mind. He needs to grow up. If he wants to live here, he has to pay rent or help around the house. Otherwise, he's out. I nearly popped a bottle of champagne. Karma served cold. So there he was, dumped by his online soulmate. Broke from sending her money. Annoying his enabler to the point she was ready to kick him out. And still locked in the fantasy that somehow, we were the villains in his story. I don't think I've ever witnessed karma work so efficiently. Mom finally sees the truth. The best part? For once, Mom started to see through his act. She sat down with me one night at dinner, her fork poking at her food absent-mindedly. You know, she said softly, maybe you were right. Maybe cutting the Wi-Fi wasn't so cruel after all. It forced him to face reality. I raised an eyebrow. So, no more yelling at me when I shut it off? She gave a tired laugh. No more yelling. You're the only one keeping this family afloat, Olia. I don't say it enough, but thank you. That moment meant more to me than any petty revenge ever could. For the first time, Mom wasn't blindly defending him. She saw him for what he was, and saw me for what I'd been doing all along. Meanwhile, at Aunt Linda's, apparently, his downward spiral got even worse. Linda called again, telling Mom he'd been sleeping all day, refusing to look for work, and constantly whining about his breakup with Lila. He just sits there, Linda complained, crying about how he was betrayed. I can't take it anymore. He needs therapy or a job, preferably both. Mom tried to comfort her, but honestly, I wanted to send Linda a fruit basket. She was finally tasting the medicine she'd insisted we swallow for years. My private satisfaction every time I walked through our house now. The peace was intoxicating. No more slammed doors. No more superiority lectures. No more pretending to be the smartest guy alive because he'd skimmed a psychology blog post. Just me, Mom, and silence, and knowing that his entire fake empire had crumbled? That was the sweetest revenge of all. My name is Olia, and I never thought I'd say this, but my house finally feels like home again. After my brother stormed out, everything changed. The constant tension melted. Mom wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. And me? I could actually breathe in my own room without someone blasting arguments through the walls. The biggest win wasn't just the silence, it was Mom finally seeing the truth. For years, she babied him, convinced he was fragile. But when she watched him crumble after that fake girlfriend dumped him, even she admitted it, he built his whole life around someone who wasn't even real, she sighed one night. And he never lifted a finger for anyone here. Maybe he needs to hit rock bottom. Hearing those words felt like a lifetime of validation. Turns out, karma was thorough. Aunt Linda, his biggest fan, lasted less than a month before telling him to pack his bags. She called Mom, furious. He does nothing but cry and game. He doesn't even shower half the time. I can't support him. He's on his own. That phone call was the final nail in his "I'm the genius, everyone else is stupid" fantasy. Even his cheerleader had abandoned him, his perfect girlfriend. As for the girl? Oh, she ghosted him permanently. Blocked on every platform. And all that money he sent her? Gone. He was just another name in her little roster of victims. The irony? For years, he called me gullible, and now, months later, my brother drifts between odd couches and pity handouts. Meanwhile, I've been focusing on my job, saving money, and finally enjoying a quiet life with mom. I feel bad? Honestly? No, because the sweetest revenge wasn't cutting his internet or watching his girlfriend scam him. The sweetest revenge was this: Mom finally respecting me. Our home finally being peaceful. And him finally being forced to live with the consequences of his own laziness. He wanted to act superior? Fine. But now he's superior at one thing only, ruining his own life. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: sometimes you don't have to destroy someone. You just have to stop protecting them. The rest? Karma handles beautifully, and watching karma tear my brother's fantasy world apart was better than any revenge I could have planned.